There are some sewing tools as a professional seamstress that I cannot live without. These are not it. My name is Katinka, I'm the seamstress at the cottage, and today I am going to tell you about the 10 random things that I cannot live without as a professional seamstress. Number 10, you might be able to guess if you've been around for a while. Number 1 is a magnet. I don't know about you, but I have often spilled my pins all over the show, and then because I'm wearing glasses and because my sight is different from here to there to there to there, I never can see the pins. So what I do now is, when my pins have fallen all over, I take my magnet and I just pick them up. And then I can put them back in their little container. Because my pin container is metal, I just put it at the bottom, and the two are always together, and that also keeps my pins from falling out so easily. Number 2 is a chopstick. I cannot tell you how often I've used this in all my sewing. It is brilliant if you make a collar to push out the points, if you want to turn a strap that you've sewed. It is so versatile. And I always have it close to me because you never know when you need it. I also sometimes use it when I'm sewing to push my fabric if I don't want my finger too close to everything else. So when I'm flipping it, I put the big part against my body, the small part goes into the strap, and then I just keep on wiggling it. When I get to that part, I literally just pull it all through, and then I take my point and go into the corners and push them out. Don't push too hard because you might push through where you stitched. And then I will go ahead and iron it, and that is my main use for this. Next up is my headlamp. I love this one. You can lift it up or you can go down. Now I can see close, but black is almost impossible. So I like to unpick with my headlamp, and it just makes the whole process so much easier and prevents me from cutting my fabric with my quick and pick. I used to give classes, and I had this one student. She was older, and I would used to just sit down and unpick and thread the sewing machine, and she said to me, "How do you see on black fabric?" And I was like, "Oh, it's easy, you just go and you see." Well, I'm now at that point. Sandy, I get it. I understand why you struggled. So anyway, if I have my little headlamp on, unpicking black fabric is so much easier. Next is a glue stick. Any one of these glue sticks that you use when you were at school, I cannot live without it. You are going to put your glue, and then you're going to take your fabric and right side onto the edge. Oh, that's the wrong way around. Right side. There we go. I'm going to push it down just so it touches the edge. What I love about this glue stick, most of these school glue sticks, they wash out. And when they dry, they don't make your needle sticky. And then I will fold it over wherever I want. Say this is for a pair of pants, so I want it on the edge. And I will just put some pins, or I might even go and put more glue and stick it down. That way, when I sew, nothing moves. I will also leave it to dry a little bit before I start sewing, just so my needles don't get sticky. The next thing I never go without in my sewing room is foil. I use it to sharpen my scissors, but the thing that gets blunt the most is my little cutters. And I don't want to keep on buying new ones. Another thing that also goes blunt really easily is this. I love the rotary cutters. I use them a lot, especially on stretchy fabric. But have you seen what happens if it is blunt on stretchy fabric? And these blades are not cheap. So what you do is you're going to cut on the foil. My points always get really blunt. So I'll just keep on doing that for a few times. And look at this. So much better. So again, you put it on a cutting mat and you literally just go through. Now this, I want it to roll all the way. So I will take my foil and go like that. And then I just go. And sometimes I will go a little bit scoop. Be careful that you don't hurt your fingers, because that can happen. Because these blades are sharpened at a 45, I think it's a 45-degree angle. And so I will just go through again a few times. Try and keep your fingers out of the way. This is a good place to use your chopstick. Oh, we did it! Have you ever sewed with your overlocker or your sewing machine and it runs all over your table? To me, that is one of the things that really frustrate me. And I would like sew and then have to grab my overlocker and pull it back. And this is a game changer. It was an old carpet with a rubber at the bottom and just carpet on the top. And I just cut out strips. And I made the strips so they fit under my sewing machine, but also under my overlocker. Now my overlocker has feet here. So I will put the strips under the feet. And then it's got feet over here. And then when you sew, your things go nowhere. The rubber grips, the fluffy or the carpet part makes that the rubber from this sticks to the carpet. And you can literally sew non-stop. Look, it's not going anywhere. And in that same thing, the next tool I cannot live without is my noise cancelling headphones. I don't know if you also have it, but I've found through the years of non-stop sewing as a seamstress, spending sometimes up to 18 hours in my sewing room, sewing non-stop, my ears really get sensitive. And what I've also found is my ears have lost the ability to hear certain sounds. So when I spoke to a friend of mine who's an audiologist, she said it's not a noise that's irritating, but it literally makes your ears that certain sounds does not work anymore. If you are clued up on that, put it in the comments so the rest of us also know. So I've started using my noise cancelling headphones, and I am so happy that I did, because I can now sew for hours on end without having a headache, without having ringing ears. And sometimes I will put music on, sometimes I will literally just have the headphones to dim the noise. Next up is toilet paper. The obvious thing, blow your nose. Yes, that happens sometimes. But there are some fabrics that's unbelievably difficult to sew. Some sewing machines are okay with them, but some sewing machines throw a tantrum whenever you try and use them. One of them is, we call it, I think it's called Minimat. And it's stretchy and it's synthetic, and I make a lot of infinity dresses out of this. Now, infinity dresses, as you know, has these long straps that you have to sew on to a circle skirt, and my sewing machine, the overlocker's okay, but my sewing machine keep on skipping stitches. This is another one. It's brushed poly. You can see it's also really stretchy. And this as well. My sewing machine just hates it. So here's the secret. So what you do is you take your piece of toilet paper. So I let my toilet paper line up with my fabric. And then I just sew. And you can even pin it in place or use your Brit, because the toilet paper will wash off. And it's sewed perfectly. Now this also works well if you want to do chiffon, and then you can just pull it off afterwards. And you have a perfect stitch without trying to kill your machine or throw the fabric in the corner. So toilet paper, game changer. Always have it in your sewing room for the times when your nose is running from all the dust in the sewing room, but also for those days when you are working with a really stretchy, irritating fabric or chiffon, and you just need some stability to get everything to work. This also works very well if you cut something on the bias and you want to put a zip in, for example. If you put the toilet paper on top, then it also prevents the bias from stretching out. Then my next step, makeup brush. So your small little brush works well in the small spaces, like there. You can get into all those places. But your big brush is so effective in places like this, where the dust is everywhere and you're going to brush forever if you use the small brush. I always have an old makeup brush, an old toothbrush, and my little brush handy for when I need to clean my overlocker. And remember, this is not an option, this is a must. If you've done one sewing project or two, you always go in and you clean your overlocker afterwards. And your overlocker will thank you for it. It will last longer between services. And it is actually really satisfying to see how it comes clean. Try not to blow too much, because your breath has a bit of moisture on it, and those moisture drops will go and sit on your overlocker. And while we're at it, let's give it a little bit of oil, just so it's ready for my next round of sewing. So some people are tempted to go and put oil everywhere. The best places for oil is where it moves a lot. One of those places is in there, so you're going to put a drop of oil there. Another place is in there, and then this shaft, can't always get in properly, but that's also a good place to go. When you start with your overlocker, always remember it wants its cotton in the back, or it will just make a big knot and then you have to refret your overlocker. Okay, all of them are at the back. Let's just work it through. Oh, I did pull some out, but that's okay. And immediately, I don't know if you can hear, or you haven't heard my machine before, but all the oil just goes through and go and oil the right places. And then your machine is ready to go for a long time again. I usually clean it and oil it maybe every third project I work on. But when I work full-time as a seamstress, then I will do it a lot more. I will maybe at the end of the week, will sit down and clean all my machines and oil them. The next sewing tool I cannot live without is a sewing book. So you get these beautiful sewing diaries where you will put what you are working on and maybe a sample of the fabric. Now this book is not for that. This book is when, like for example, when I work with this type of fabric, I will write down brushed poly, needle size that works well for that, and any other things that I've struggled with. So this is my struggle book. When I've gone through a process where I really struggled with something, I will make notes so that I can reference back to it in the future. Because maybe I won't work with that type of fabric all the time, but when I get to it in the future, I don't want to go and re-figure out what needs to happen. I also would write down haberdasheries that's maybe run out. For example, I need a new quick and pick. My one is blunt, so I've written it down. I've got like a shopping list. And then when I go shopping, which is not all the time, I can actually remember what I need to get. So I will just go in here, take a photo of that, and when I've bought those things, I just draw a line through it. It makes such a difference. It really is the difference between spending hours trying to figure something out again, or just taking my book, looking at my notes, and keep going. Lastly, it's coffee. As a full-time seamstress, there were times when I sewed for hours on end. And the thing that I looked forward to the most were the coffee breaks. I remember a bride coming to me, I think it was the Friday. She was from another city and they were getting married in my little town. And she came to me that Friday night. And the dress was atrocious. Now, usually I won't do short notice alterations for weddings. It's just too much stress. But she was a friend of mine's daughter. So I ended up taking this dress apart and sewing through the night. The wedding was the next morning or the next afternoon at 4 o'clock. She came to fetch her dress at 1. It was so stressful. But copious amounts of coffee got me through that. And many other prom dresses and orders. And if it wasn't for coffee, I don't think I would still be sewing. I would like to know today, what is the things that you use in your sewing room that's not typical sewing tools? And are there ways that you would use the things I show today that I have not mentioned? Put all of those things in the comments. I always love reading the comments, and if I can, I reply to all the comments. So go out and sew. Don't be intimidated by all the tools that everybody say you need, because most likely you don't. And most of all, enjoy every moment. I know sometimes I complain because I feel like, it's just another day of sewing. But somebody commented on my last video and said, you get to sew. And that is so true. We get to do these things, even if there's parts that we really don't like. Oh, I would also like to know, what is the things you really hate when you sew? For me, there's a few things. But something that really comes to mind, I don't like buttonholes. Oh, I love buttonholes. So I want a shirt, a proper shirt, a long white shirt. And I haven't made it because I don't want to make the buttonholes. So is there anything that you hate making? Or part of the sewing process that you really don't like? Leave those in the comments and let's have a conversation. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.